Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Sober Bliss podcast with me, Gail. And today I'm absolutely delighted because I'm joined by a wonderful person by the name of Claire, and she is the genius behind a gorgeous fashion brand called Rehab Studios. Welcome, Claire, all the way from New York. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. Thank you so much for having me, Gail. It is so great to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I remember when you reached out to me, I had a look at what you were doing. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Far too cool for me. So I was so pleased when you said that you'd come on the show. So yeah, tell us, what is Rehab Studios?
Yeah, so we're a fashion brand, fashion and jewelry. We have women's wear and men's wear, a lot of unisex clothing. And the idea behind the brand is it's inspired by stories of recovery from
Mm,
addiction, which is my personal story, my personal journey, and then also mental health and all of that. So the designs are really meant to speak to issues of mental illness and addiction and kind of put that on the forefront and be a voice that kind of says, sober is cool and fun and therapy is sexy. But then also, it's the designs and the artistry behind that is really important to us too. We use really high quality materials in all our jewelry and spend a lot of time, working on the designs and to really create wearable art, if you will.
yeah. Oh wow, I love that. So it's putting it out there that actually this is nothing to be ashamed of or to hide from. It's a real issue that, we're proud to kind of bring out into the world, if you like, through
Yeah,
the messaging.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I love that you use the word proud because that's exactly what I'm trying to get across. Like
Mm,
recovery is definitely something not only not to be ashamed of and not to be stigmatized, which is so often what happens, but
mm,
honestly, like if you are able to beat the disease of addiction or the disease of depression or anxiety, and every day you wake up and you win that battle, like yes, you should be very fucking proud. Like that's amazing.
yeah, exactly. I'm obviously British, so I'm quite reserved, but inside, I do wake up and I'm like, woo woo, yeah, I did it. Like every day, I'm sober. It's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's the best.
Because it is like when you're stuck, and I'll ask you about your own journey in a minute, but when you're stuck in that cycle and you think that there's just no escape, when you do have your first night and you go to bed sober, or your first morning when you wake up without having drank or used or whatever, it is a really amazing feeling. And I do think it's something to be, proud of and shouted from the rooftops sometimes.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is everything that I thought about sobriety, that I thought it would be like was wrong. I mean, one of the reasons that I waited to get sober is because I thought it would limit my life. I thought it would make things boring. I thought it would make it difficult for me to have fun or to meet new people or to have new experiences. And all of that, it's honestly been the complete opposite in
Yeah.
every way. Like my life has opened up. I have so much more fun, uh meet so much more many more people and have like all these amazing exciting experiences that I would never have if I was still like stuck in the rut that addiction kind of put me in.
Yeah. What kind of experiences would you could you share with us?
Yeah, well, so I've love to travel. And so I've
Mm.
done a ton of traveling since getting sober, and I've done some like solo trips, which have been really exciting, and
Oh,
met
wow.
new people that way, and like-minded people. I spent a lot of time in Brazil. I'm going to Africa next month, which I'm very excited about. Just kind of like these crazy trips that I don't know if I really would have had time or the energy or the money to do in addiction. And then I'm definitely like, I'm a thrill seeker at heart. And when I
Mm.
was, in active addiction, there was a lot of chaos in my life because of that. And so, that kind of took care of that, like thrill seeky, like excitement hungry need in me. And I mean, it wasn't always good, but it was like very exciting and thrilling. And so now I find healthier ways of having that kind of thrill seeking in my life. I mean, I started skydiving, so I got like my skydiving
Oh,
license.
wow.
Um, yeah, which was terrifying. It was so scary. But it was crazy. It was one of the craziest things I've ever done. And starting a business, like
Mm.
just all of these wild things I never thought, I would be in my lifetime.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so amazing, Claire. I hadn't realized that you were such a bit a daredevil skydiving. That's so cool.
I really want to cage dive with great white sharks next, but I
Oh,
have to find somewhere where you can do that. So,
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure you'll be able to do that.
yeah.
Let us know. And if anybody listening knows where Claire can go and do that,
Yeah.
do let us know, and I'll pass it on. Um, so would you mind sharing? Because it sounds like you've gone from, you know, one extreme to the other in some ways. Would you mind sharing a little bit about what your life was like before you got sober? And you're only young as well, so this is so inspiring.
Yeah, I was 24 when I got sober, and that was a little over 3 years ago. I just turned 28. And yeah, I mean so my uh my relationship with alcohol was always, terrible. Like
Mm,
that's why, for me, the addiction model of the disease model of addiction makes so much sense because, alcoholism runs in my family. And for me, it really was like from that first drink. I like a lot of people talk about a ramping up period, and I didn't have much of that. I mean, I did a little bit because
mm,
like, you know, I had like, I guess, more control in the beginning, but it was really from like the first step. Like I just something in alcohol in me, it clicked. Like I could not stop drinking once I started. It was
mm,
all I wanted. I it was my, I would choose it over everything else. And yeah, so it was a huge part of my life from really from, the age of 14, 15 up until
wow,
I
that's
got
young.
sober. Yeah, so it was young, and I will say like I've learned in my sobriety, I've learned so much about addiction and how it takes hold of the brain, and part of it is genetics, and you have to have those hereditary genes there to develop addiction, but there are other influencing factors. And like, I'm one of four siblings, and none of them
Mm,
none of them are alcoholics. So one of the factors though is the age you start drinking, and I think, this is they don't know all these details. There's still ongoing research on this, but it's likely because your brain is still developing then.
yeah.
And I do almost hesitate to say like, oh, if you're young, like you shouldn't drink, because when I was younger, hearing that like pushed me to be like, I'm gonna do what I want. Like, don't tell me what to do.
Yes.
But really, if you think you might have an addictive personality, have addiction in your genes, the longer you can put off starting to drink, the less likely you are to develop alcoholism, and just because your brain needs more time to, it's still developing, and if you flood it with alcohol at an early age, it it can jumpstart that addiction. Sorry, I went a little off topic.
No, it's fine. It's all relevant, I think, especially because a lot of our listeners might have, teenagers of their own, and I know it's a big worry with parents. I've got two boys, one's 20, so he's already doing his own thing, but thankfully that hasn't involved, drinking a lot. But you're so right, because I think it's, I don't know, is it like 21 before your brain is properly developed? It's certainly, not anywhere near at
I
14 or
think it
15.
finishes, yeah, I think it's still developing up until the age of 25,
Oh,
but
wow.
and because our brains are plastic, the
Mm,
neuroplasticity, they do change like constantly. So even when once your brain is fully developed, like you can cause changing in your brain function, and even the like physical way the neurons are set up. And so I think I'm not a
yeah.
scientist, but
No, I'm not either. I know what you mean, but I think it's important to remember as well that because of, the neuroplasticity, it means that we can rewire our brains because often
exactly.
if we're stuck in the cycle, we think, oh God, this is it forever, there's no way out. Like, I'm always going to have this problem with drinking. I'm never going to be able to change. But actually, you can because the brain is such an amazing thing that it does allow us to make the changes that we want to make. So it's a good thing that our brains are this way.
Yeah, it really is, and our brains are really amazingly plastic, as they say. I mean, they've done studies showing how even the actual like areas of the brain will physically change, or their density will change in response to for instance, like British cab drivers,
Oh
their area
yeah.
of the brain where they encode memory, because before, this is a bit of a tangent, but very interesting. Before all of the smartphones and stuff, the cab drivers in London had to kind of memorize the city. Like New York's like a grid, but London is
Mm,
not. And
yes.
they actually saw when they scanned their brain that the areas of the brain that encode memory in people who had been cab drivers for years in London were denser and larger and had more activity
Yeah.
than the average brain. And that's just one of many, many examples of how our brain does change in response to the different ways that we use it. And especially, if you're doing like meditation or anything like that. And to bring it back to recovery, addiction is it's a error in the way our brains are processing rewards, and your brain is overvaluing your drug of choice and
Mm,
undervaluing all the other like social rewards, and even like food and sleep. But this can absolutely be rewired with abstinence and a recovery program and all of that. So yeah, it's
mhm.
good news.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And is that how you helped, or is that what helped you rather to stop drinking and to stay stopped? How did you do it, Claire?
Yeah, so that was a huge part of my recovery, was just learning about all of the science behind addiction. Because I felt like I needed kind of this like black and white hard facts of the matter. Like this is why I can't drink. Like, this is what my brain's doing, and learning about the disease model of addiction really helped me. And then also just having my tribe, I like to call them, but just really, really strong social support system, both, people in recovery. For me, I go to AA, so people I meet through there, and also just some really, really good friends, and my family,
Mm.
who have been so, so supportive and there for me, when it gets tough, and I had really bad cravings in the beginning. So that was a huge part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, well done.
And I'd say even the third thing is having, I think having some sort of outlet is really helpful. And for
Yeah.
me, that's a creative outlet, because that's what I love. I love making jewelry. I love designing, and just throwing myself headfirst into creating beautiful designs, or a million different bracelet designs, and picking the best one. Like, that brings me so much joy. And it's real joy. It's not contingent upon any
Mm-hmm.
substance. And it's a great way to kind of get out of my head and put that energy into something else. And that, it's obviously what the brand is born out of. But I definitely think finding an outlet, whether, I know a lot of people like will take up like weight, like lifting in
Mm-hmm.
sobriety, or athletics. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but I think that's also really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about finding the thing that, brings you joy and lifts you up, because I find that, and you can tell me if this is your experience as well, often we drink or we turn to, these like substance abuse or substance misuse because we're not fulfilled in our lives, because we're not doing the things that really light us up and bring us joy. So the more, I believe anyway, the more you can do those things, even before you've quit drinking, the more you can begin to build up doing what you love, I suppose, as part of your, daily life, then the happier you be. Therefore, in theory, the less likely you'll be to want to numb out with wine or whatever at the end of the day. Um, so finding something that you can, as you say, throw yourself into, whatever that might be, knitting, weightlifting, drawing, running, whatever, is so, so important. So how did that evolve, like for you and Rehab Studios? Walk us through how that happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely. Like I said, well, so when I was in active addiction, I feel like I always, I loved like creative things and that sort of thing, but I just I didn't have as much time and energy. I mean,
Yeah.
having a drinking problem is like, it's like having a kid or something. Like, it
Mm.
takes up a lot of time and energy, and like,
Yeah.
so in sobriety, I had so much more time to devote to that. And I also, when I got sober, was right, I was a couple months, so maybe like a month and a half sober when the pandemic started.
Wow.
um so that also, like, my job, like, I was barely working, and like, um I had all this free time.
Hmm.
And I had to find something to do. I mean, and I had all these cravings, and so I was like, okay, so I started doing all these like crazy photo shoots. Like, I would like wallpaper walls in the house with like newspapers and stuff, and do photo shoots in front of them. And I was like doing graphic designs on my computer, and making bracelets, and just like for fun. And then I realized like I can actually like get some of the designs and make printed on clothing. And I'm such a clothing girl. Like I love, I love to shop. In my sobriety, I've like had to watch it, like cannot develop a shopping addiction. But yeah, I mean, so I love it. And I've always worked in fashion and fashion marketing and communications. And so yeah, so it just kind of came about, emerging of all those circumstances. People are saying like you should sell these and
Yeah.
um all of that. And then I I actually launch on Kickstarter. So, very much a startup.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter is like a crowdfunder platform. You can put your project on there, really anything. I mean, there's such a range of stuff. And then people will pledge a certain donation and you give them a reward. So when Rehab Studios started at the time, it was called Rehab Barbie and it was on Kickstarter and it was just bracelets and it was just me and I was like making them. I was in my parents' house, like quarantining with my sister. And
Oh, that's so
um,
nice.
yeah, that's how it started. And I didn't I don't know. I hoped it would catch on, but I didn't know. I had no idea. And people really responded. I mean,
Mm.
people really liked it. It was amazing. Uh, and that's how we got our first launch. So it was fully funded on Kickstarter, which was super exciting. And then I launched it on the website, and our team's grown a bit, and we're
Mm.
expanding. So it was just jewelry then because that's what I was like making
Yeah.
in my parents' house. And now we have clothing, we have sweaters.
Yeah.
We're
Stand
working
up,
on like
Claire. Let's have a look at the top that
yeah,
you're
this is
wearing. Very
the
nice.
rehab tennis sweater.
Yeah.
It's just like because I think I'm my parents like they belong to like this country club and stuff and like I don't want to say I'm like the black sheep of the family, but I'm a little bit like the wild child. Like it's like I mean now obviously I've calmed down a bit, but like I think it's so funny to merge this like preppy
Mm.
like country club aesthetic, but be like rehab.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that came out of. But yeah, super excited. Like I can't believe we
I
have
love
sweaters
it.
now. Yeah, and it keeps growing and yeah, expanding. We're working on shoes and just really expanding our product line and all of that. So I'm
Wow, so
very
excited. Yeah. So you've got jewelry. Um, what kind of jewelry? Obviously bracelets. What else do you have?
yes. So the jewelry is all really, really high quality. I mean, that is something that was really important to me when I started out is making like pieces that will last.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm wearing some now, but the silver is all sterling silver. The
Mm-hmm.
gold is it's 14 karat, so some solid, a lot of it's like filled, gold filled, which is it's like almost like solid gold, but it's a bit lower at the price point, so it's more affordable, but it won't tarnish, like
Right.
it stays looking great. And yeah, so we have bracelets. We have lots of stretch bracelets. Those are my favorite. And then now we have rings and we have necklaces and earrings coming out. I don't know if they're live yet, but we have the designs, so they should be available
Mm-hmm.
any day now. And the designs, yeah, they speak to recovery, addiction recovery. We have this like gorgeous freshwater pearl bracelet with these like dyed, they're beautiful, these like dyed dark red pearls that are in like oblong shapes. I'm obsessed with it, but it says recovery. And then we have some different bracelets that say like serenity, courage, based on the serenity prayer. So
Yeah.
God, it says wisdom and courage and serenity. And then some more like fun ones like Live Laugh Lexapro and I Love Prozac, because we're very pro like proper treatment for depression and anxiety and all of that. Our sober is hot bracelet, so like all of that, and just like beautiful beads, and the design is of course so important. So that's jewelry, and then now we also have sweatshirts and sweaters and t-shirts and hats.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's fun. Like the sweatshirts and sweaters, it's like these graphic designs. They're bold, they're fun, they're a bit edgy. I mean, they're also, obviously so inspired by addiction recovery and mental health, but also New York. I mean, that's where I live. That's where the company's based. And, that I'm in Brooklyn, like that kind of New York sense of style. Like people are a bit edgy and like pushing the envelope. So you definitely see that in the designs a little bit. But we're at a really exciting time now because we are constantly expanding our product line. I think we even have a candle in the works.
Oh, that's so cool. I've just
Yeah,
been looking at candles today, actually. I love
yeah,
that.
you're right.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of exciting things in the pipeline, but that's where we're at now.
Wow. In a minute, I'm gonna get you to, well, tell me now, where can people find you? What's your website? And do you ship worldwide as well? That's important.
We do. We ship worldwide. So, if you're in Europe, Canada, literally worldwide.
Yeah,
So wherever you are, I'll get it to you.
cool.
Yeah. And as I said, I love to travel, and I have a lot of friends abroad. So that's definitely something that's really important to me. And you can get it at rehabstudiosny.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're also on Instagram, Rehab Studios NY, and TikTok. We love TikTok.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So we've been able to reach and reach a different, maybe a younger audience
Yeah.
than on the other platforms, which I think is so, so, so important.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we put all of those links in the show notes so people can find you really easily. And just before I let you go, Claire, couple of things. What is something that you love the most about your new alcohol-free lifestyle? And we've already covered so much. I love your energy and enthusiasm and just joy for what it is that you do. But if you could pinpoint something, what would it be?
God, it's hard to pinpoint one
Yeah.
thing. So I'm gonna say two quick ones.
Yeah, of
I think,
course.
first of all, I mean, you mentioned it, just like having such a joy for life. Like I
Mm,
fucking love my life so much. I mean, obviously, it's not always great, and there are, ups and downs, but I just having this excitement about life and love for life and just feeling so, so lucky that like we're here right now, like out of every like you know, just it's crazy with that we're here on earth just with the infinite possibilities and the timeline and everything that we get to be here in this moment, like in the moment where we can do what we can do, and like, you
Mm.
know, create sweaters that say rehab on it. Like, what? This is crazy. So just, you know, just being really excited and uh
Yeah.
thrilled about life. So definitely that. And then I would also have to say just my relationships with people have really improved in my sobriety. You know, I have better relationships with like everyone in my family, and just
Mm.
like really strong, beautiful relationships, and with friends, and just, you know, having deeper connections and deeper love for the other people in my life. You know, I think a lot of that comes with not being, when you're dealing with a disease like addiction, a lot of your time and energy is centered on dealing with that. And you're
Yeah.
forced to be more selfish because you are dealing with a disease, and all the managing of that and the outcome of that. And then now in sobriety, I'm able to focus more on the other people around me. So that's been amazing as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So powerful and so true as well. Because, like you said right at the start, we think that getting sober means the end of our lives, that we're going to have no friends and, life's just going to be small and boring and dull. But actually, like you said, the opposite is true.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody who's listening and feels really inspired and excited, but still um not sure if it's the right thing for them? What would you say?
Well, I would say, you know, find, I would say, first of all, give it a try. You know, you
Mm.
don't have to commit to a life, especially, you know, if you're young, you do not have to commit to a lifetime of sobriety. You can give it, you know, when I got sober, I was like, when I first got sober, I was like, this is bullshit and I'm going to do this for like a week. But I was like, I'm gonna learn how to moderate so my family leaves me alone. But
Yeah.
you know, first, you know, I was like, I'm gonna do this for 6 months, a year, and then see where I'm
Mm.
at. And you know,
Never
that, so
looked
I think,
back.
yeah, I mean, I was like at 6 months or at a year, I'll look at what my life is like alcohol free compared to what it was like in addiction, and just choose whichever one is serving me. So, you know, it was no contest.
Yeah.
um and also I think, you know, find your tribe. Like, so if you go to Rehab Studios, we have a community page, and there you can find, you know, like this podcast and other podcasts and websites and groups. New York's a great place to get sober. They even have like sober event companies now that plan like sober parties and sober raves. Like,
Mm.
find a core tribe of people who you can party sober with, and then also, you know, will be there for you if you're going through cravings or difficult times emotionally.
Yeah.
Having that, you know, that social support, and those people who show you how fun and beautiful and exciting sobriety can be are the best motivation.
Yeah. I think just from listening to you today, Claire, you're probably going to convert so many people because every
Oh my
word
God, I
that
hope
you
so.
said just sounds so much fun and so inspiring and so exciting. Completely the opposite of what we believe that to be true about sobriety. You are about as far removed from dull and boring as as can
Yeah,
be.
well, I always think about, because like I knew I had a drinking problem when I was like 18, 19, but I was like, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't want a boring life. Like,
Yeah,
I think about that and like, God, you know, if I only knew.
I know, I
So,
know. Yeah, so everybody listening, then, it's not dull, it's not boring. Claire is an
Mm-hmm.
absolute testament to that. Oh, Claire, this has been so exciting. Thank you so much for coming on. I know you've got to rush off now, but I'm so pleased that you came on. I just know that everybody's going to be so inspired by your story, and I really hope that you go and check out Claire's website, Rehab Studios. All the information is in the show notes. So yeah, thank you, Claire.
Thank you so, so much, Gal. It's been so great to be here.